TikToker, choreographer, vlogger, and also entrepreneur. So today we're going to talk about the usual, the content creator seat, where I ask questions dealing with either social media, either the content creator, and even their other business ventures. So the first thing I want to ask you is pretty much was the name Essentially K for your channel? Was that always a thing, Essentially K, or was it something different before then?
So it wasn't the name when I first started my. First of all, thank you for having me on here.
You're
What's
welcome.
good? Let me start right there first and foremost. I
All
appreciate you
right.
having me here.
Appreciate
Um,
you too. Yeah.
yes, but my YouTube channel wasn't always Essentially K.
Okay.
It was initially my first and middle name, and
Okay.
then
Okay.
um yeah, and I'm still fine with that. So I went by Kayla Doris on YouTube at first for probably like the first almost year, maybe like the first
Okay.
almost year of me being on YouTube. So if you go back to like, which is so cringy at this point, but I haven't like put my videos on like private or unlisted them. So you can go
Right.
back to when I really first started my YouTube channel and see like my very first videos and stuff like that. So if you go all the way back to like my very first year on YouTube, my like Instagram, everything was still Kayla Doris. My intro stuff still said Kayla Doris. I introduced myself as Kayla Doris. But then later on in that first year, I feel like, which I started my YouTube channel in 2020 at the beginning of
Mm-hmm.
2020. Um, and by the end of that year, I was just trying to figure out like what I was going to do online. Not really knowing what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing. I just be like winging it all the
Yeah.
time. I just be winging it. But one thing that kept like standing out to me was like just being who I am and being myself, like
Mm-hmm.
simply me, like all of the essentials, like the bare bones of like just who I am without like trying to be somebody else on social media, because that's just never been my MO whatsoever. Um
Okay.
and so and so I kind of was just like playing around with different names, and then I was like, essentially, like I'm essentially myself, like just pure in its purest form, like I am who I am and like unapologetically. And then I thought of essentially K because K is like one of my nicknames. I've gone by that my whole life. Um,
Okay.
and so I just kind of put those two together, and I was like, I like the way it sounds. And it just like it made sense as to like what type of content I wanted to make as well, because I knew it was going to be more like lifestyle stuff
Right.
and more things that just have to do with like my daily life and what I'm into and things I'm interested in and whatnot. So I was like, let's see if that works. And then I changed my
Okay.
Instagram name and I changed my YouTube name, and ever since then it just like stuck. So then when I started my TikTok, I just automatically started it as essentially K because it just made sense.
Okay, yeah, I like the story behind the name. I always wonder. I said, man, did she always have a sister cake? And see, when I came across you, you already had the
Yeah,
name. You know what I'm saying? So it's
yeah.
like I don't know the
Yeah. No, it wasn't always that way, but I,
other
I definitely adapted that name and started that name like fairly early on into my
Okay.
like content journey.
Yeah, I know I went through a couple and like Ill Blur Matic just sounded better than the other names. I'm like, okay, people weren't remembering them. They were
Yeah.
like giving me other names. I'm like, that's not my channel
Wait, so
name.
what was your name before?
Okay, so I had PCS Live, I had Charles S Live. They were like pretty much S Man delivered S Man Charles Xavier. So I said, you know what? And then my actual last name is Charles too. So and I was like, oh, this would be cool. Like, all right,
Yeah.
throw this on there. And then I was like, you know what? I think Ill Blur made it sound better. Like one day I was just like, all right, I am a blur. And I was like, ew. I like, and then I thought about like the Nas album. I was like, bingo, this works.
Okay, so while we're there, before you move on, what
Uh-huh.
can you explain what a blurt is? Because I have
Okay.
no idea, and I'm sure you know that. But like, what does that
Okay.
mean?
It's a black nerd. That's just basically a cooler
Okay,
name for it.
okay, because I've seen that
You-
name. I've seen like blurred in a lot of people's content creator names, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's
what does that mean? But
yeah,
I get it
it's
now.
yeah, I'm glad you asked. Yeah, pretty much it's just a cooler term instead of just saying nerd, blurred. I can't coin it because I didn't create it.
Yeah, yeah,
I just thought it was cool. I was like, yo. And I had seen it like on the internet for quite a while, like on Facebook and
yeah.
Twitter and other places. I'm like, dang, this is kind of dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not
No, for
saying
sure.
nerd, it's saying blurred, meaning a black nerd.
See, I love that.
Yeah.
I would have never guessed that. I would
Yeah.
have never guessed that. But I've seen that like that part like blurred in kind of intertwined into other people's names, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what does it mean? But thank you for the explanation. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked it. Thanks for your tell me about your old name. I did not know that was your actual name. I was like, you know what? I figured that your name was like a Kayla or something like that. I was like, man, I said maybe Kayla or you know what I'm saying. I was like,
Mm.
that's probably what it is.
Yep, yep. My name was Kayla.
Okay. Thanks for tuning in, Synthesizer Zero. Yeah, so yeah, that's dope. Yeah, so essentially K to me it's this better. You know what I'm saying? Even though it would have been cool to see your actual name. I was like, hey,
Yeah,
essentially K just it gives it its own flavor and twist to it, you know.
yeah.
What's going on, Aries?
I appreciate that. I
Yeah,
also just at one point I was like, I just felt like it was like too fed. Like I didn't want my like full name. Even
government.
saying like I know there's people who follow me who obviously know my full name. They know a lot about me just personally because a lot of my
Yeah,
followers are people that I've grown up with or friends and family. But at
right.
some point I was like, yo, this is just like too fed. I don't want them to have my first and middle name on social media. That's a little cringe. What's going on? I see somebody said, "Good morning, Kay. How y'all
Yeah,
doing?"
yeah, what's going on, Aries? Thanks for tuning in. So my next question for you has something to do with TikTok. Tell me how your journey started on TikTok. Was that the first thing that you kind of
Um,
came through? Went through?
so actually, like I started on YouTube before I started on TikTok.
Okay.
And so I was probably posting on YouTube for almost a year, a full year before
Okay.
I even downloaded TikTok. Um,
Okay.
so I got onto TikTok in 2021, like early 2021. Um, it might have been early
Mhm.
2021 or like literally December of 2020.
Okay.
And when I first got on there, I was like, how am I supposed to navigate this platform? Like it was a whole lot going on. It was also, in the middle of the pandemic, there was all kind of stuff happening in the world. And
Right.
so I was just like, I don't know nothing about like this particular platform. I don't know what to do. I don't know because like you mentioned earlier, like as far as like what I do, my background is in dance and in business. And so obviously
Right.
I'm a dancer, but at that time, like dance on TikTok was super heavy. And
Yeah, you're right.
but I was like, I was annoyed because I'm like a technical dancer, like a trained dancer. And so
Right.
like even though some of the fun like TikTok dances were cute and they were fun or whatever, but I was annoyed and I didn't want to be Kayla the dancer on TikTok.
Okay.
So I was like,
Okay.
I was trying to find a way to like separate the two and not necessarily show up on TikTok the same way I would show up in my regular day to day. And
Right.
so I would make dance videos here and there, but I really started just like going to people's like grow lives because I was like, I want to grow my platform and I want to meet and mingle with people on TikTok or whatever, just kind of see like what this platform has to offer. So I would go to grow lives all the time where I
Right.
actually met my friend Trey the Maker, on TikTok, and I would go to his on his like grow lives like all the time. Next thing you know, I went from like 10 followers to like 1,000 in probably 24 hours.
Wow.
And yeah,
Woo.
it was a little insane, honestly, because
That is.
especially at that time when like TikTok wasn't like brand new, but it was still a little bit harder for you to grow your following, you know?
Wow,
And
that's
so
crazy.
yeah, and so I ended up like immediately having access to go live on there, but I didn't want to go live. So
Okay.
I was like, I don't really know like what I'm doing on here yet. I'm just gonna try and keep growing my platform, posting videos or whatever. And it was fun. It was very lighthearted. Like I wasn't stressed out about TikTok whatsoever. So
Mhm.
I enjoyed it at first. I really did enjoy it at first. And I was starting to meet people, um, which I ended up meeting you on TikTok, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
started meeting people on TikTok that I was like, these people are really cool. Like, and it's
yeah.
actual support. Like you can go support their pages and they're gonna come
Right,
and show you love and support your page too. Um,
right.
and so the more that I started doing TikTok, I eventually got like super confident in like going live. And so then that became my thing. Like I was just live every day. Like,
Yeah, I remember.
like I was live like all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
And I was live doing nothing. And that's why I really love like just
Mhm.
whatever way I show up on social media, I always want to show up as my authentic self. Cause
Okay.
I was never out here doing anything that was like for the camera. And like,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying? If I was
Yeah.
on live, we were literally just sitting here talking, or it's like, all right, y'all, what is movie night? What we about to watch?
Yeah,
It
what we
doesn't have
about
to
to
be,
watch?
yeah, it don't have to be nothing crazy because I just want to do regular stuff. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? And so
yeah.
I really enjoyed that, and that kind of made people really start to like rock with me a little bit because they're like, you're just cool down to earth. Like it ain't like you're trying to put on for social media. And I appreciated that because I wanted to meet people who were like relatable and like just down to earth myself. And so um, then my following just kept growing. And
Right.
I had one video that started to do crazy numbers as soon as I
Okay.
posted it. And it's still on my page now. I don't post on TikTok no more, but I still have my page.
Okay.
Um, but it's still on my
Same
page.
here.
And when I posted that video, I was basically just saying, dear black men, I love y'all. That was literally all I said.
I remember that video. Yeah.
Yeah. And I said, dear black man, I love y'all. And at that point I had probably gained like close to 8,000 followers on
Woo,
TikTok.
woo.
But again, mind you, like when I started on TikTok, I would say I got that first thousand within my first like couple days or whatever, day or two or
Okay.
whatever. And then it was
Yeah.
kind of slow from there for a little bit. And then I went from 2,000 followers to like 8,000 in a handful of days. And so once I posted that video,
Mhm.
and it started immediately. I mean, like within the first 2 hours, I had over like 20,000 views within just the first couple hours. And I was like,
Woo.
what is happening right now? Because
You're
at
right.
this point,
Yeah.
none of my videos had gotten any like they might have gotten a few thousand views, but it hadn't gotten anything that was like significant. Like I was having like thousands of comments coming through, and I was like, what is happening right now? TikTok
Wow.
TikTok immediately, by the time it hit, I think it hit about 46,000 views in
Mhm.
like the first day, and then they muted my sound.
What?
So yeah.
Uh,
And mind you, at that point, I don't really know what's going on TikTok right now, but at that point, the only way
yeah.
to really get your sound muted was if you had copyrighted music or something like that that you were using that,
Right.
you didn't have approval to use. But it was
Right.
my voice. I was just saying I said that myself.
So,
And so it
right.
was my own intellectual property. So all these comments were coming through. It's just like literally so many black men. It's like, love you too. Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Queen. We love y'all too. We love y'all too. So it was literally just me showing love to black people because that's what my TikTok was about, was like just
Right.
trying to inspire and uplift black people. Nothing
Yeah.
against nobody else, but
Right.
I
Right.
just felt like I needed to be the voice to like change that narrative because I was constantly seeing all the like the hate train stuff of
Right.
what black women don't do or what black men don't do. And I was like,
Right.
or we can change the narrative and we can actually show love to one another. And that's what I was
Right.
on TikTok to do. Um,
Yeah.
and so when my that video started doing well and I started getting so many comments of people just being like, oh my gosh, I needed to see this. Like, thank you for posting this. Like, it's a good
Right.
reminder that, people do care about us. And so once they started seeing that, they
Yeah.
muted my sound, and the next thing you know, my views just like stopped. Like I literally just stopped
Wow.
getting views immediately.
That's
And I was like,
crazy.
I had heard a little bit about like, what people's
Hey, Slacko
experience
Bomb.
was. Hey y'all. I
Yeah.
had kind of heard a little bit about what people's experiences were on TikTok as far as like the agenda behind like what they'll
Yeah.
push and what they won't
Right.
push and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff, but I had never experienced it for myself. And at this point, I was getting a fair amount of people just like showing up to all of my lives and stuff like that. We was in there deep most days, you know.
Right. Yeah.
So when they muted my sound, I started getting a ton of notifications of like people saying, "Oh my gosh, what happened to the sound?" Like I see the comments, so I can kind of understand what the sound probably said, but we
Right.
can't hear it now. And then next thing you know, I started getting a lot of like hate comments too.
Oh
Not from
man. Yeah.
us, not from nobody that looked like us, but
Right.
I just thought it was really crazy how they would allow the hate comments to be posted, but they wouldn't allow me to spread love. And I was like, okay, I'm like, I'm seeing what y'all doing now,
Right.
I'm
Right.
I'm taking notes, I'm taking
Yeah.
notes for sure. And
Yeah.
so that happened. And then that kind of like discouraged me a little bit because I was like, what did I do? Like, I ain't even big. Like, I literally have like 8,000 followers on TikTok. I'm not one of
Right.
these people who have a million followers, and I'm not pushing nothing that's like bad or harmful at all.
Right.
And so I felt a way about it. Then I went back to being, on live or whatever. I still kept making videos, but I noticed that after that video went, started doing numbers and they muted it pretty much within the first 24 hours. Um,
Right.
I was shadow banned. Like nobody was like I at one point I was constantly on people's For You page. I was not on anybody's For You page. People would have
Wow.
to go to my page to actually see my videos. And I was like, okay, now I see what's happening. And
Right.
then I noticed once I started going live after that happened, they were banning my lives like left and right. Like
Whoa.
there were so
That's
many
crazy.
times. Yeah, there were so many times where I would be live and someone would be like, in the comments, "Hey, beautiful black queen," or something. I'm like, "What's up, black king," or something like that. And immediately my live is ended. And I would get a notification that says like hate speech going against community guidelines and stuff like that. And I was like,
Dang.
what?
That's wild. Yeah. Yeah.
Like make it
Sometimes
make
that's a wild
sense.
story.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
wow, AF for real. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was like that just does not make sense. And it was just so crazy to me that I don't know if you remember or had even been in my TikTok lives when this has happened a few times, but there are some people who were in there and saw certain stuff because again, after that video started doing numbers and
Yeah.
I would go back live again, there was a few times where I was like just randomly talking on my live and I would get
Right.
people who was just in there trolling. They're just in there
Yeah, I
trolling,
remember
like
that. Yeah. Yeah.
calling me out of my name or like calling other
Yeah.
people in there out of their names. And I'm like,
Yeah.
how are these comments not being blocked and shadow banned? Like,
Yeah.
but if we speak to the likeliness and likelihood of black people, then we're like banned.
Yeah,
And
that is weird. Yeah.
after a while, once I got banned, I think they banned my live. The first time they banned it, it was for like 24 hours. So I was like, all
24
right,
hours.
yeah.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, whatever. I'll go back live tomorrow. Went back live, and that live was cool. And then I think after that, every time they started to like ban my live, it started being like a longer and longer period of time that I couldn't go live. Like one time it would be
Wow.
banned for a day. The next time it was like I couldn't go live for a week. And then after that, it was
Mhm.
like I couldn't go live for like the rest of that month. It was something weird like that. And then I was like, I don't even want to be on this platform because I at one point was like doing well on here and keeping people on y'all's platform for hours because we were having movie nights and we were talking about
Yep.
just random stuff, or we
Right.
would play, playlists and just like vibing out to like figuring out what
Music.
everybody's favorite music was. And
Yep.
so I'm
I
keeping
remember
people
that.
on y'all's platform, but y'all don't even respect us. Y'all don't even like us. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna say allegedly because
Okay, allegedly. All
but
right.
that's the
Yeah.
vibe that I was getting. I'm not crazy, and I know that if I was on there trying to fight or I was talking bad about Black people, or I was talking bad about just our community in general, like that stuff would get pushed all day long. And I
Oh
didn't
yeah,
like that. So that just
yeah,
was like, that was like the final straw for me because, again, even during all the times that my live was banned, I
yeah,
also tried to upload videos and stuff. Again, like just encouraging like daily motivation type stuff to
right,
encourage, us. And a lot of my videos wouldn't post to TikTok because they kept saying I was going against community guidelines. So
yeah,
it didn't matter. Like all these videos I was recording, I was trying to post them. They wouldn't let a lot of my stuff be posted. And after a while,
yeah.
I was like, I'm done. Like I'm over it. Like y'all can catch me on YouTube. Y'all can catch me on Instagram. But I'm over the TikTok because like ultimately
I
I'm not
feel
gonna
you.
yeah, I'm like
I,
I'm not gonna support a platform that doesn't support me and my people. Like
yeah,
I don't care. And I had heard of it, like I said, I had heard about people's experiences before this ever happened to me, but it
yeah.
wasn't until it happened to me that I was like, "Oh, this is real." Like,
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's real. Yeah, once I
this
started
is
to
real.
see, like when I was posting my videos, I was getting shadow banned just for posting my own video.
Ain't
It's
that
not
crazy?
like a yeah. So I'm like, what the heck? It's like, yeah, you went against community guidelines. Like, what you mean? I'm just posting my own content. It's not like I'm stealing somebody else's content, putting it on my page, making it seem like it's my content to
Right,
promote it. And I was just like, yo, this is crazy. Like, there is no way I should be getting these guideline strikes. And every time it was like, I'll post a video, guideline strike, here it come in a couple days or that day. I'm like,
yeah.
come on,
And
TikTok.
it's discouraging because, like, as a
Yeah,
content creator, you put time and effort into making your content and making your videos
yeah,
and editing and things like that. So then you do all this work, you put these videos nicely together, and then they shoot you down, and it's like, yo, that's not okay. Like,
yeah.
that's just
It's
not
not.
okay.
Yeah, so yeah, TikTok, yeah, it's definitely changed. I gotta agree with you. It's definitely changed for the worse. You know, one thing I'm glad you didn't do. I'm glad you did not do them sleeping lies. Where them people go to sleep on the line in the bed and sleep
Yeah,
like this.
I didn't do that. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, I definitely fell asleep on y'all a few times for sure. During movie nights, though, I wouldn't have the camera on me. I would have the camera on. We would have the camera on the
Okay.
TV. We would
Okay.
definitely have the camera on the TV. But yeah,
What's
those
going on,
sleeping lies was
Cajun?
weird to me.
Yeah, what's going on, Cajun?
What's up, Kason? I see
Ex-
you.
Experiencing something like that with Twitter, but not at that extent. That's because I come across videos that
That is
tend to engage
crazy.
hate speech. Yeah, you got a lot of that on TikTok, Aries. What's going? Oh, okay. So he's saying, "Hey, Cajun too." Yeah. So I'm glad. And then it was another live. I can't remember what the other live was, but it was weird. It was like, why would you post this on TikTok?
Well,
It
and
was
that's another thing, like, well, no, not right around that time. So, like, after I stopped being consistent on TikTok, like TikTok going live or even posting, at first everybody was like, "Hey, are you good? Like, what's going on? Like, you
yeah,
ain't posting in a minute." Like, they was used to me
right,
being live like every day,
yeah,
and I was like, "Y'all, it's not me. I promise. I've been trying to go live. I've been trying to post, like,
right,
but y'all can, like, holla at me on Instagram because I it was really hard for me to like filter through DMs on TikTok because they would send you notifications about all kind of stuff to your DM. So I would
what?
lose track. I would
Excuse
lose
me.
track of everybody's like actual messages to me. So I was like,
Yeah, I
yo, if you
remember
trying
you.
to reach me, like
Yeah,
hit me up on Instagram because
yeah.
TikTok is not where it's at. I literally at one point had like thousands of inboxes on TikTok. And one
Wow.
time I went through and I was like, yo, like this is a lot of it felt like junk mail kind of. But
Yeah.
I was trying to tell people like it's not me. I promise I was trying to be on there, but like
Right.
I just kept every
Things
time I tried to
change.
post a video, I would get shot down, or every time I would go live, I would get banned for no
Yeah.
reason. I was like, and everybody knows me for being like the like good energy type person. They're like,
Right.
for y'all to be banned in K is crazy. Like, what are y'all
Yeah.
talking about? I'm like, I literally have, I'm not hurting nobody, but
Right.
I know what the hidden agenda is, and unfortunately, that's a lot of people's story. A lot of people like us on
Yeah.
TikTok have gone through that same type of thing. So
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
kind
I
of
gotta
is what
say,
it is.
I think you and there were some other people like left TikTok, and I seen it. It was like I like, man, because people was telling me like, yeah, man, you sure you want to use this? I'm like, well, we'll see how long it lasts. But
Yeah.
yeah,
You gotta everybody needs to go through and like just kind of have their own experience and like because it might not
yeah,
happen to everybody, you know.
yeah, it
But
might
it did
not.
I will say once I stopped posting on there, it got real weird on TikTok. It got
Okay,
real strange. Like just
okay,
the content that I would see, I was like, what is happening? It was either everybody was super upset and in arms and everybody's arguing over stuff. And it was nothing
oh
but like a
wow,
bunch of like debates really on TikTok. So it's like my timeline just kind of turned into like very like stressed type of content. And I was like, why is everybody on this platform so mad? But I realized that the content that they were pushing the most were like controversy type of content.
yeah,
That and
yeah,
some people were just saying things to get reactions because they wanted the views. And when that
yeah,
happens, then it's a domino effect. So it's like
but
just a bunch of negative energy on TikTok at one point, like after I was like not really being consistent and not posting on there. And so then I was like, what is going on with, my algorithm? Because if I'm not subscribing to this, then why is this popping up all over my
on
feed?
your
Like that's
timeline,
really crazy
yeah,
to me. And then it was
yeah.
between that and then people doing those like weird lives and stuff. And I was like, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here.
I'm out of here.
I gotta get out of here because this is weird.
So my next question for you, I always wanted to ask you this. I said, man, I wonder does she do this with her content? When you make content for YouTube, do you like I know some people record like one sitting of content and some people like do it throughout the whole week. What is your process behind making content for
It really
YouTube?
kind of yeah, it kind of depends on like what type of video I'm doing.
Okay.
For the most
Hmm.
part, 'cause, my YouTube channel, I do mostly like vlogs a majority of the time. But again, if
Right.
you go back and you watch like my first like year and stuff on YouTube,
Okay.
I did like more like sit down type videos and my process was totally different then because I would think of an idea, I would like write out whatever keynotes I wanted to discuss. I might not write out what I wanted to say, but I would write out like topics that I would want to talk about and just I would like do it like I would talk for as long as I could. And then
Okay.
if I like mess up something, I'd be like, okay, where in my notes am I? And then I got to the point where I was like, it should not be this complicated. It's
Okay.
not scripted. So like why am I making it so serious. And so
Okay.
then I got more into like vlogging and stuff.
Okay.
And like my vlogs do I will edit them, but like y'all gonna get all the mess ups. If I say something crazy, I'm keeping it in the vlog. Like y'all just gotta know that's just who I am and that's just my personality. So now my
Yeah.
process is like, okay, what types of videos do I want to post about? I'll write
Right.
out some of my ideas for the month or for the week or whatever. And then um depending on like what my day-to-day life looks like as far as work, I'll kind of
Right.
decide like what videos I want to record on what days. So if I'm doing a cooking vlog, I'm like, or a cooking video, I'll be like, I need to have enough time to actually show that. So if it's a day that I don't really have enough time to film me cooking, because it just takes way longer to film
Okay.
yourself cooking,
Yeah.
then I'll just like kind of hold off. But as far as now, like my vlogs, I literally just like pick up my camera and just see what happens.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
honestly, those are the videos I have the most fun with. The ones that I don't overthink and the ones that I'm not like trying
Okay.
to think of what I want to do for the day. And it's like, all right, y'all, like, good morning. Like, here we are. This what I gotta do. Let's just
Right.
see what happens on, see if I can catch any of this on camera today. So
Okay.
I will say over the years, it went from me being like, I need to do it this way, and this is how someone else said that they do their YouTube, and I got to be
Yeah.
super organized, which I am super organized, but
Yeah, you
and
are. Yeah.
I do still plan my content out when it comes to like the full scheme of things, like how many vlogs I want to post for the month or what other type of content I want to post. I still plan it, but I don't plan it down to the T because then that doesn't really give me a lot of room to just be human. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay.
I try my best to just kind of let it go or go with the flow, you know?
Okay. Yeah, the reason I asked, I knew a few content creators in the past where they would do a bulk like in one day or just that whole week. I've
That
done
was
it.
me.
I have to admit I've done it before where I've done like 3 videos or 4 videos in one day. It didn't
Yeah,
necessarily work out for me because I was like, nah, this then I'm thinking too hard. I'm like, wait.
yeah.
I'm
No,
like, I
that
don't
was
like
me for
this.
sure. That was me for sure. Back in the day, like when I first started my YouTube, I was
Yeah.
doing bulk videos like crazy, especially because at that time when I first started, well, when I initially started my YouTube, I was living in LA.
Okay.
Then then the pandemic hit. So I went back home. Well,
Okay.
I don't live in my hometown now, but I
Right.
went back home
Hmm.
and when I went back home, because I was thinking, oh, I'll just be here for a few weeks, like no big
Right.
deal.
Yeah.
I'll be back in Cali, sooner or later. So I went home and then ended up being there for way longer than I expected. But I was also
Okay.
living in the house with my family. And so
Okay.
like I didn't have the freedom to really like film like I wanted to. Like I didn't have my own personal like a lot of my own personal space.
Right.
So I was bulk filming because I was trying to film when, I would have time. Like if everybody was gone, or,
Right.
sometimes they would even leave the house. And because at the time my niece was like a toddler. She was like 2. And she
Right.
was living in the house with me too at that time. And every time and my niece Rayleigh, who's literally in all of my
In your
videos for real.
videos.
But when I started my channel, she was only like 2 years old, and so or maybe 1 going on 2, but
Okay.
every time she saw my camera out, she was like in the camera. Like it didn't matter if I was doing a serious video or not. Like I could be on there trying to talk about something serious, and she's like getting this close to the camera, like wanting to talk to the camera. And
Yeah.
so, in order for me to like film with no distractions and no interruptions, I was having to film when they were gone. So
Okay.
that's another reason why I was like writing out everything that I like wanted to discuss in all my videos, so I could try and film it as quick as possible to
Right.
move on to the next video so that I can film as much as I could before they would come back home. And so sometimes they
Okay.
would be like, okay, we'll take Rayleigh out the house. We'll give you like 2 or 3 hours. We'll keep her out the house and then we'll come back so that you can film as much as you can. And then they will come back. But then over time, now I still will bulk film within the day if I
Yeah.
have a full day open. But
Okay. Okay.
I haven't done that in a while just
Yeah.
because I started leaning more towards like vlogs and stuff. But
Right.
anytime I do have like sit down conversations or sit down videos that I want to do, I will try and bulk film those because it just
Okay.
works better for my schedule a majority of the time. And then I can like film 4 videos in one day and then start editing and take a few days to edit all the videos, schedule everything to post on YouTube, and then I can start my next set of filming. That way I can kind of stay ahead of my posting schedule.
Okay. That's a nice approach to it. I know I used to have to do that with my dog. My dog used to go when he would go to sleep, I would
Mhm.
record videos. Because if he would
Yeah.
be woke, he'd be barking and stuff. Like, nah,
Yeah.
I don't want
It's
him barking
fun.
in the video.
Yeah. See, in the first my because again we had a dog in the house and we had my niece,
Right.
and so it was just a lot of noise all the time.
Yeah.
It was a lot of noise. But then after a while, I was like, it's okay because we're human and we can literally get on social media and show up as our authentic selves, and that's fine. And I know
Yeah.
that a lot of times, like the perception that society puts out there is like you have to look this way, or you have to think this way, or you have to have this, or
Right.
they tell you what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And it's like, no, I can show up
Yeah.
as me, you can show up as you, and that is 100% okay. Like
Yeah. That's
that's
true.
even better. That's how you really truly gain like people who want to support you because of who you are and not just like the things that you have. That's why you see so many like influencers and people on social media who once they start to lose those things, it's almost like they lose themselves because they don't know how to show up on their platform
Yeah.
authentically. So
Yeah. That happens. That's
so
true.
let the dog bark.
Well, I don't have no more. He passed away, unfortunately. But
Oh, sorry.
yeah, making mistakes is a part of growing. Which it is synthesizer, but you don't want to make it where you make too many mistakes if you're putting out bulk content. So basically, bulk content, if you don't know what it is, you're recording either that whole day or you're recording that whole week a lot of content. So you may not, depending on your work schedule, because some people are working part-time, full-time. I know some people that have two different jobs. If you have the time, yeah, you can edit certain stuff out. But the problem is if you do it too much, then it's like you don't want too many errors within your content. So, I
For
mean, I'm
sure.
not saying that you should. I mean, I remember someone told me for a collaboration, not to be off topic, but they're like, yeah, a perfect live stream. I'm like, what is a perfect live stream? Like, this is art.
Yeah.
It was the weirdest response I ever got. I was like, yo, let's do something together. I think it'll be great. And it's like, yeah, perfect live stream. I'm like, what? I responded,
Yeah.
question mark, what? Nah.
Yeah. I feel like you take the most risk when you go live, like, because you really have
Yeah,
no control over what happens whatsoever.
yeah.
So, like, when you go live, it's not gonna be perfect at all because, like,
It's
you
not.
100% have no control over what people see or how it goes or anything like that.
Yeah.
At least when you're just filming to post, like, you can cut the camera, you can edit it out, you can chop it up
Right.
however you need it to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what's up. But yeah, you're telling the truth about that. So my next question for you is still dealing with YouTube.
Mhm.
How do you get your friends and family involved? Like, do you call them up and say, hey, look, I would love for you guys to be a part of it? Or is it more like the family is okay with it and the friends are okay with it?
Honestly, at this point, like, my friends and family know, like, if Kay's around, like, we're
Okay.
filming. It just is what it is. I'm never gonna put people in my videos that I know for sure are like uncomfortable or don't want to be on camera or whatever the case may be. And I still
Okay.
keep a lot, like I still like y'all see a lot of my family for sure.
Right.
Some of my friends too, but y'all see a lot of my family. But I have so much footage of stuff that I chop out just for like safety purposes,
Yeah,
and just
that's
to make sure
understandable.
everybody just to still have like that privacy too,
Yeah.
because like I
Yeah.
chose to be on social media. My family didn't necessarily choose to be on social media. So
True. Yeah.
I never want to like put them in a position where I put too much of their lives on social media. Um, but for the most part, they know like everything is content when it comes, to me. Like I am still a very much a private person, but
Right.
if we have like activities in the day and I'm supposed to be filming, but now I'm coming home to celebrate whatever, they know I'm gonna at least get some clips. I might not film everything, but we gonna
Okay.
get some clips, and we gonna make some content out of it for sure. But I've only had to ask my family a few times during like Vlogmas type stuff, like, oh, we do y'all want to do this type of video with me or whatever, so that we can like plan properly, like gingerbread house contest and stuff like
Right.
that or
Okay.
whatever the case may be. But other than that, they all know that like at any given moment, I might pick up the camera and just start filming. And
Okay.
when it comes to my niece,
Hmm.
like my sister is very like, I don't want my daughter on social media, and I respect that.
Yeah.
But she still allows her to be like in my videos because she also knows that like I don't post anything that's like crazy, and I would never post
Yeah.
her in a way that was bad or anything like that. But my
Yeah.
niece has taken a liking to like vlogging, and
Yeah. You're
I
right.
try to show as much of that as I can because sometimes I might just be trying to take a picture and she'll take the phone or take my camera and she'll just start the video and she's like, what's up, kings and queens?
You're
It's
right.
the girl Riley. Like she's memorized my intro at this point. She's still
Right.
a little nervous when it comes to like saying it by herself, but
Yeah.
she kind of loosens up when she gets to that like what's good? Like that's her
Right.
favorite part. And after that, like she just wants to vlog because she sees me doing it and she sees that I have fun doing it. So the
Yeah.
only part of my family that I really have to censor is when I'm involving my niece. But other than
Yeah.
that, like everybody for the most part just knows like at any given moment I'm gonna be vlogging or I might just start a random video based off of whatever our conversation is. And especially with my friends, because a couple of my friends,
Hmm.
they're not on social media as like a personality or they're not on YouTube, but they have like one of my closer friends that's been on my channel before. Her husband has a channel,
Okay.
and they've even started like a family channel and like that kind of stuff too. So
Right.
That's it's not like her thing. It's more of her husband's thing. But like
Right.
she interacts in it, and so like my
Okay.
friends don't have a problem with it because they also know I would never just put them on social media like looking crazy or nothing like that.
Right.
So, but my
Yeah.
family respects it, and they like ultimately like you have a lot of fun, like, and it's you put good content out there, whether it's just like encouraging or motivational stuff, or just trying
Right.
to be relatable so that everybody can see that like people go through things. Everybody on social media is not like living like the life and just have all their ducks in a row. Like
Right.
sometimes you just need to see on social media that like there are still very real people on here. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I can relate to this person because of X, Y, and Z or whatever the case may be.
Right. Okay. That's true. Yeah. Because I often wonder. I said I know some people they have a hard time like getting family to want to do that type of stuff. That are
Yeah.
content creators, and I guess it like you said it depends on the family. If the family is okay with it and understands that this is what you do and kind of
Yeah.
keep it private to some degree, that definitely does help to some degree when it comes down to it. Because you don't want it to be where you're like, okay, I'm putting out too much, and they knowing a little bit too much, like
Yeah.
you know, that could
No, for
be
sure.
yeah, so no, that's cool. I mean, that's dope because I gotta say, out of the content creators I've come across, I think you're the only one that does the vlogging mostly with their family. There was another YouTuber that I used to watch. I don't even know if they still do YouTube. It was like girlfriend and boyfriend and a daughter. And it was family like too. It was kind of very similar to yours, but yours is more authentic in a way, and theirs is more on a comedic aspect and kind of showing some of their life a little bit, but not a lot of it. It was more of a comedic aspect. But
I got
yeah, that's
you.
dope. Yeah, that's dope that you do that and show
Thank you.
your family and just the different events and different things that you go through and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Thank you for tuning in and for engaging in the comment section too. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's dope. So my next question for you is dealing with what is your favorite process to making content? Is it the editing? Is it just the intro or just do you have any favorite processes or
Honestly,
Mhm.
yes, I do.
Okay.
Um, I'm trying to think though, because it has kind of changed over the years.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
so I used to like really, really, really enjoy the editing process. When I first started, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like, I just love the like editing portion of the process. The filming process at first seemed a little more stressful because I was trying to be very meticulous about it.
Okay.
But then when it came down to editing, it was like really fun because I'm like, okay, look how it's coming together, look how it's like blending, all of this stuff.
Correct.
And then I feel like now I enjoy filming more than I actually
Okay.
enjoy editing.
Editing. Okay. Yeah, it's vice versa.
Yeah.
Originally I wasn't big on editing. I was just like, get it away from me. I was more into this like recording. To me, it seemed like it was a little bit more easier.
Yeah.
I wasn't always like recording. I was like, man, but then eventually I grew into I said, you know what, I gotta grow into this. Like this is not something that I'm super comfortable with, but
Yeah.
eventually I grew into it. But then editing kind of became a thing where like my subscribers like, yo, you need to start editing. I'm like, dang, like they coming for me. But
They were
they were
telling you
doing it
that?
in a nice way. They weren't being mean about it. They were being
Okay.
nice.
Okay.
They were like, "Yo, you need to start editing. What are you doing?" I'm like, So I took a week off, and learned how to do some editing. And then, like, each time I start to do that, I start to realize, okay, I'm learning more. So, okay,
Yeah.
maybe this part of the week I'm learning how to do this and stuff like that. But yeah, editing was something that I kind of shied away from at first. I'm like, nah, because I
Yeah.
seen
For
there
me,
was a
it can be overwhelming too, especially if it's something totally new for you.
yeah, it
Um,
was because I used to post videos. All I did was okay, I had my intro, I had my outro, but I never added like GIFs or like pictures a lot as much as I do now. So I think it was more for me just to get more comfortable with it. versus me just like trying to get away from it, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely was a process behind it. Like I said, I used to dread editing. I was like, do I really want to do this?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But then, like I said, when I took that week off, people were like, yo, where are you at? I'm like, yo, I got to figure out this editing thing. Somebody got at me, you know, a couple of my subscribers let me know that I need to get better with the editing. So I said I took it upon myself to learn it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did. You know what I'm saying? I'm kind of glad that I did go, you know, I did listen to them and not just be like super stubborn, like, no.
Yeah. I mean, and it's paying off and it's working. And then it's always like the funniest like gifs or memes or whatever that you like throw in there
Yeah,
every now and then in the video. So it like
yeah,
adds a lot to the overall video. So
yeah,
good for
yeah.
you.
So thanks. Yeah, so yeah, that definitely was for me. And then like I said, now I enjoy editing as much as I enjoy the you know, recording. It's kind of like both.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So my next question for you is we're gonna talk about your skincare brand.
Yeah.
How did that come to be, essentially, Kay, if you don't mind me asking?
So years ago, first of all, I've always had like extremely dry skin, like super duper sensitive skin.
Hmm.
And um I've had like eczema, things like that. So I've had like skin issues like since I was little.
Okay.
Not as much now, obviously. But
Right.
like it kind of like fizzled out a little bit in my like late teens, early 20s or whatever.
Okay.
Um, but because of that, like I dealt with like a lot of just like being self-conscious about my skin because kids are cruel, and when you're like, if you have eczema, and I would have really bad eczema like on my arms or even on my face, on my hands, um and kids were just so freaking cruel. But then when I got older, I would like test out all kind of stuff, like go to the dermatologist, they would give me different stuff or recommend certain
Hmm.
stuff to like
Right.
help, and then it might help a little bit, but then it would cause other like issues, or
Flare ups and
it's a lot
stuff.
of side effects, and I'm like, why is everything so harsh? Like, why are there so many harsh chemicals in everything that you got to use?
Right.
Um, and then like years ago, I started making like little gifts for my family, and extended family. I made
Okay.
like exfoliating scrubs for them, for like the women
Okay.
in my family, just as like a Christmas gift. It wasn't anything that was
That's
like
cool.
serious.
I like that. That's different for a Christmas
Yeah. Yeah,
gift.
so I was like,
Dang.
I'm gonna make something like homemade, but like for their skin. And so I made it, and that was a few years before I actually started my brand. And
Okay.
then I started like just doing my own research about like what could help my sensitive skin and like
Hmm.
what would be best for me. And so
Right.
then I started like mixing up stuff for myself just to use for myself. And I was like, okay, this is working or whatever. Um,
Right.
and then eventually I was just thinking like, why am I not making a profit off this?
I like it. I like
Why am I
that.
not making a profit, you know? And so
Right.
it
Yeah.
turned into me just doing research about like the skincare industry and like how to make an all natural and all organic type of brand that is just as effective without any of the harsh chemicals and things like that. So
Right.
during the same year that I started my YouTube channel, that was the same year I started all the research for my business. So I started my business.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so 2020 was a big year for me.
Yeah, I see.
So,
Wow.
yeah,
That's what's
so
up.
2020 is when I started really like doing all the research. I researched for months and months and months about different ingredients and different types of products that I could make.
Right.
Um, and then I also in 2020 was like registering my business and like getting my EIN and like just making sure legally I had everything in place, because I knew I wasn't going to launch until 2021. But I
Hmm.
was I was testing products out. I was making stuff and like testing it out for months at a time because I didn't want to sell anything that I hadn't thoroughly done research on. I also didn't want to sell anything that I hadn't used or had other people use for like months at a time. And so
Right.
um, I started in 2020 with all the back end work of my business and my brand. And then in March of 2021 is when I actually launched. So
Okay.
ever since then, it's been Katie Essentials Organic Skincare. So Yeah.
Eddie sister. Okay, so my next question about that is pretty much what was I gonna ask you about that? So is anyone else in your family an entrepreneur when it comes to like doing things? Was that the influence behind it? Like a cousin, a mom, sister?
Honestly,
Hmm.
no, I'm the youngest of my siblings, and
Oh, okay.
none of my siblings are entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Now, and it's all girls.
Okay.
But N they're very creative, and
Okay.
they have, like, their own types of things going, like, one of my sisters, models, and she's, like,
Okay.
just extremely creative when it comes to, like, artistry and drawing and painting and those kind of things. One of my
Hmm.
sisters is, like, a makeup artist, like, she's really good at that kind of stuff. Makeup artist, she sings, she can do hair, like all those things. And then
Okay.
one of my other sisters, she like has my oldest sister, she like really just has her own thing. She's more of like a business woman. She hasn't started a brand or a business herself yet,
Okay.
but she's always been like very much in an office type setting, very smart. Um,
Okay.
but as far as my parents go,
Yeah.
my mom was in like education. So she retired from the classroom, but she taught
Right.
for like 25 years in the public school system. And my
Okay.
dad, he used to work in like the oil industry
Okay.
for like 30 years, and then now he's in like the gasoline industry.
Okay.
Um and so but he's had his own like business outside of that, whether it be his like construction and like remodeling business. So he's flipped houses for pretty much
Okay.
as long as I can remember, stuff like that. Or like he'll
Okay.
purchase houses and flip, and he's really good like hands on, but they
Hmm.
didn't come from like a family of entrepreneurs really.
Okay.
So I'm like the first in my family of like my particular generation.
Okay.
Now I do have like a lot of musicians in my family and like producers and singers and
Okay.
people who actually play instruments and things like that. But as far as like owning a business and owning a brand um that is of like a tangible type of good, um
Yeah.
I'm the only one within my like generation of my family that has that.
Wow. That's
Kind of
dope. Being
changes
the
the narrative a
first.
little bit.
Hey, breaking the traditions, huh?
Trying to,
Yeah,
we
that's
gotta do some
yeah,
things
that's
differently.
yeah, it's nothing like being the first and trying something different and not sticking to the norm of certain things. I think that's great. Do you have any of your products that you can show if you want to?
Yeah, I pulled a couple things. I honestly, I have like, I think I have what I offer is like almost 50 products, different types of products, and like sizing and stuff like that. So I
Okay.
won't bore you with like everything that I have, but I do have a couple
Okay.
things here
All right.
because ultimately, yeah, it's a lot. But I pulled a couple of
Okay.
my like top sellers. So
Okay.
this one here is my Hydrate. It is a vitamin C serum. Hold on, I just dropped it.
Okay.
It is a vitamin C serum for your face. I don't know if you
Okay.
can't really see the label, but yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's a vitamin C serum. It's not like a oil base, it's aloe vera gel base. And this is something that's good for like adding moisture to your skin without it
Okay.
feeling super heavy. It's not gonna clog your pores. And it's also gonna add that like daily dose of vitamin C. This
Right.
is probably one of my top selling products in general, but especially
Okay.
one of my top selling products for like face.
Okay.
Um, and then I also keeping with the whole like face theme. I have my Sunshine Exfoliating Facial Bar, which
Okay.
is good for like hyperpigmentation. So if you have like dark spots or acne scarring or anything like that, hyperpigmentation, any like darker areas on your face where you want a more like even skin tone,
Mm.
that
Okay.
is what this is for. And it is
Okay.
also it's not just a soap bar, it's also like an exfoliating soap bar. So it has like
Oh wow.
jojoba beads. It has jojoba
Okay.
beads in it. It's good. It's gonna add hydration to your face, and it's also gonna get that like top layer of dead skin off as well as kind of penetrate those spots that are like scarred.
Okay.
Um I also have this is kind of like where it started. Remember, I said I made my family like
Yeah,
exfoliating body scrubs and stuff. So
yeah.
I have several different scents, but the one that I have right here is my lemon and lavender um
Okay.
exfoliating body scrub. And I feel like if I open it, I might actually like spill it. But it's a dry scrub,
Yeah, it
and
is.
it is a sugar-based scrub, but it also is infused with essential oils. So, and it also has like carrier oils as far as like coconut and grapeseed oil as well. So there are lots of like skin loving ingredients, things that are going to hydrate you and then also not, dry your skin out or anything like that. But it's also
Okay.
going to feel good and smell good as well.
Right.
And I know a lot of guys think that I only have products for like the body for girls and for women, but I don't. I have a lot of men who purchase my products because I have like scents and fragrances that are more masculine scents as well.
Okay.
So that is that. And then just going along with the lemon and lavender body scrub, I also have this is my 8-ounce jar. I do sell these in like the 16-ounce jars as well. But these
Okay.
are whipped body butters. And
Okay.
I use mango, all raw and unfiltered mango
Oh wow.
and shea butters. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I make all my products myself. So, everything is made by hand. I make everything myself, my labels, my actual products. I whip and make every single part of everything by myself. And then I also do my website myself and run my social media. So eventually we'll have a team to do all these things. But as of right
Okay.
now, it's just me.
Hey, that's dope that you're really self-sufficient. That's a good thing.
I
Yeah, a lot of
appreciate
people
that.
yeah, a lot of people are not self-sufficient. You have some people that are willing to do certain things, like, then you have people that don't. Because a lot of people, I remember people like, oh, you edit your stuff. I'm like, yeah, I don't have nobody editing my stuff. Like,
Yeah. For
you know what I'm
sure, for
saying?
sure.
Yeah, and I
And
think
lastly, I have one of my
Mhm.
shower oils because a lot of people don't really know what a
Okay.
shower oil is. And I'm like, once you're introduced to a shower oil, your whole entire life will change because
Okay.
you want to make sure you get moisturized. And one thing that a lot of people don't realize is like you need to moisturize as soon as you get out of the shower, or your skin is going to start to like absorb. It's just going to try and like pull any excess oils or like moisture, and it's going to dry out pretty fast. So if you don't moisturize once you get out the shower, even if you wait for a while and then put it on, it's not going to last as long. So with the
Okay.
shower oil, you actually use it in the shower, and
Okay.
then all you have to do is like pat dry once you get out the shower and you're like good to go. You don't necessarily have to moisturize. But all of
Okay.
those products are out of my like 50-ish products that I have to offer. Like those are probably like my top five or so, top five or six.
Okay.
But yeah. I see somebody
Yeah.
asked, Kay, how tough is it to get into that market?
Oh,
Um,
I can't even see that. Dang.
Yeah, it's not it was I can't see the name,
Okay.
but I saw the at K. Um,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I was
so
like,
as far as
man.
like getting into the market, it's not super hard. It's just hard to if you're like me and you do all parts of your business by yourself, it's hard to make sure that like you're posting enough on social media or you are getting connected and networking as much as possible to do like vendor events because that's kind of how I started. I got my website and everything. Like I said, I started my business officially in 2020, but I didn't launch my business until 2021 because I wanted to make sure everything on the back end was like ready to go.
Right.
So, which was the smartest way to do it? I definitely recommend doing that before. Like, I know some people who just kind of like they'll just start making stuff and selling today immediately instead of like actually figuring out what their business plan is.
Right. The
And me
process. Yeah.
personally, I typed up a full business plan. When I say a full business plan, like my business plan was probably 10 to 15 pages. And
Wow.
I typed that up before I made one product. Like I wanted to know exactly what my game plan was and what I wanted to do and understand it before I started like really investing my time and money and my effort,
Yeah.
into building a brand. And so
Okay.
when I did that, that really helped to set me up. So it wasn't really hard for me to break into the market. it's just a matter of making sure that I'm taking advantage of all opportunities to be seen and get out there. So I love to do vendor events. I love to do networking events, because my business has grown mostly from me being able to do a lot of in-person sales. Even though I'm mostly selling online,
Right.
I do so many vendor events and I still participate in a lot of vendor events and stuff like that so that people can purchase from me in person, and then eventually, like, once they purchase from me once in person,
Mhm.
now they have my website, they have my Instagram, they have my um Facebook page, all of that for my business, and
Right.
they can start shopping with me regularly online. So it's not necessarily hard to break into the market. It's just about like where you start the process. I don't personally recommend like starting it by selling stuff first and then having to backtrack and get your EIN or registering your business after the fact or getting your website after the fact. It does take longer to like launch officially if you do it the way that I did, but slow and steady, like you want to be here for
Wins
a
the
long
race.
time. You wanna
Yes,
be
Slow and
here for a
Steady.
long time, so you wanna put
Yes.
in the time and effort and stuff to do it the right way, you know?
Yeah, and like you said, slow and steady sometimes wins the race, like they always say, right?
Sure, yeah,
Yeah. So,
100%.
so my next question with this is: social media is where you get most of your traffic for your brand, or is it more so just meeting people out and about?
Honestly, at first, it's kinda been in waves. I'm
Waves,
being honest.
okay,
It's kinda been in
okay,
waves. At first, it was social media because I had been working on it for so long, and right before I launched it, um, I started posting heavy, like save the date on this day, on March 19th, 2021, like Katie Essentials Organic Skincare officially launches. Like, so I was posting a lot to like get people excited about it, and people were sharing that a lot. And
right,
I ended up getting my first weekend, because I launched
hmm,
on a Friday. From
okay,
Friday to Sunday, that my first weekend when I launched, I actually hit my revenue quota and my goal
okay,
that I had set a goal for myself for that first month, and
right,
I hit that revenue goal in 3 days
okay,
because of all of the like social media traffic that I had created beforehand. So
okay,
as soon as my website went live, people started ordering like immediately, and I was like, "Whoa, what is happening?"
right,
But at
right,
that time, a majority of those people were like friends and family. It wasn't like an extended reach. It was just people who knew me personally.
right,
And so I was super grateful for that, obviously, Um, but that was like, wow, like, okay, my social media is clearly like doing something. Like, even me just posting about it, people sharing it, like it was working. And then that kind of like died off a little bit after that first month, after the hype around me like officially launching kind of died out a little bit. Then that
hmm,
kind of went down and it turned into more like word of mouth and people like just talking about my products, and then I would get people who would purchase because they heard about it, not necessarily because they saw it on social media. And
okay,
then all around that same time is when I started doing vendor events as well. So I was getting a lot of
okay,
in-person sales, but my online sales were kind of going down because everybody was just coming in person to purchase from me.
okay,
So it kind of goes in waves. I will
okay,
say, like, it depends on the season. Like some seasons, like the summer, spring and summer, I'm selling way more in person than I am online. And then in like
okay,
the fall and winter, I'm selling way more online than I am in person. And at
okay,
that time, I noticed an uptick in my social media. Like I see people more engaging more on my brand pages. They engage more on social media during those months, and they actually go ahead and purchase online during those months
hmm,
versus the spring and summertime.
okay. Yeah, that's good that you figured out the like what months is good when it comes to the digital side and then the other
Yeah.
side of things. Because if you don't know that, then you're like, okay, what's working out here? What's coming?
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
still
that's
got
a
a lot
good
of
way
work
to
to do.
look
I
at it, to
gotta
kind of view those things and figure it out because it is a pattern and like you said, it's a wave. So yeah,
for sure.
My next question: what would be the best piece of advice for anyone that's trying to be an entrepreneur that wants to be one?
Um, well, that's a good one. I have so many things.
Okay.
Um, I'm gonna give you a couple things because there's so many different layers to being an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's a lot of what gets missed in the conversation a lot of time.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that
true.
it's not gonna look the same for everybody. It's not gonna feel the same for everybody. But number one, I would say like just do it. Like you will never know what you're capable of if you don't try it. And
Okay.
it's nothing wrong with, doing something and it not working out. Like you just have the information and to like readapt to, how to do better next time. So
Right.
just pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and allowing yourself to be free and doing what your heart desires without, the opinions of other people. Cause at the end of the day, if you don't take the chance and you don't do what it is or start the business or the brand that you would like to do, you will live in that like regret, you know, and that you'll create like a sense of resentment almost over time. Cause like, why didn't I do this? I really wanted to
Yeah.
do that. Is it too
Right.
late for me to do it now? Cause I really wanted it to happen 10 years ago. And honestly,
Right.
you can start over whenever. But
Yeah.
number one, I would say, like, just do it and don't be afraid to, learn as you go or even fail at something and figure it out.
Right.
Number two, I would say, like, stay focused on your vision and not the vision of others. Um,
Okay.
because there's some really good days in entrepreneurship and there are some really bad days in
Yeah.
entrepreneurship. And especially if you're like on social media, but if you're on
Mhm.
social media a lot and you see like, so and so is doing so well, or this company, how did they scale their business? How did they get this
Right.
big? How were they able to tap into the market that type of way, and on that big of a scale?
Right.
Um, it can kind of like dim your light and you'll lose focus of your own vision. So pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone and not being afraid to like just do something different, even if that means you have to fail first.
Right.
Two, making sure that you're focused on your own vision and not what everybody else their vision of who you are or what you should
Yeah.
be doing.
Perception. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then number three is just, I would say, understand that like a lot of life circumstances are temporary. So on those bad days, understanding that it's not going to always feel like that. It's not going to always be, hard or frustrating or stressful, or especially if
Mhm.
you're like me and I didn't have like a business loan or anything like that. I was literally taking money from my personal finances to invest into starting
Okay.
a business from scratch. So when you
Right.
don't really have it like that and you're trying to start something out of nothing, that can be very discouraging. So just understanding that you'll get to the end goal is whatever you want it to be, but at the end of the day, those bad days are not always that's not your permanent reality.
It's not.
Try
Yeah. That's
try
true.
and find like a light at the end of the tunnel. Just like all the great days and the highs are not always, they're not gonna always last either. So you have to be prepared and okay with knowing that you might not know what comes next, and that's okay to like figure that out along the way.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yep, you definitely life is like I said, it's got its balance, got its highs and lows, good and bad or indifferent. Yeah, definitely. So my next question I wanted to ask you is with YouTube. Would you say YouTube was harder to gain subscribers compared to TikTok or vice versa?
100%. 100% YouTube was harder for me
Okay.
to gain subscribers than TikTok because TikTok is very much like I mean, everybody's on YouTube as well, like all day long, but on
Right.
TikTok does I I don't want to give them no credit for nothing, but they do a better job about like if they see people actively on there, like they're gonna push your content until you say something that they don't want you to say.
Yep.
But they will push your content quite a bit first and
Right.
foremost. And then I was like gaining a lot of organic um followers on TikTok because of that, because of
Right.
random videos or whatever. But
Yeah.
and then that just kind of goes downhill once you say something they don't want you to say, and then they just that whole
Yeah.
situation. But
Right.
on YouTube, I will say my engagement has felt more authentic on YouTube than it felt on TikTok. I have more
Okay.
followers on TikTok, but my
Yeah.
engagement didn't feel authentic on there. Like
Oh
all my
wow.
comments and like people would like stuff. Um, but it wasn't like I had like a core audience on well, I did. I
Mm.
would say I had like a
Okay.
core group of people who were super supportive on TikTok, but those are the same people who are supportive on my Instagram. Those are the same people who are supportive on my YouTube now. Um,
Okay.
but I will say, like my actual engagement with my community on YouTube feels more authentic than it did on TikTok. Once, because at first when my channel or not my channel when my TikTok account was in that first like couple thousand,
Yeah.
I was able like it felt like, oh, the same like 10, 15 people always in my lives. They always in
Right.
my lives. They watching every video. They commenting on every video. And it was
Yeah.
like fun. It felt like a family. But then once I got more followers on there, I didn't get all of those like it wasn't like all those people were constantly, commenting and stuff like that. So at least with YouTube, it feels more like solid and
Okay.
authentic when it comes to engagement. But it is harder. It was harder for me to grow on YouTube than it was for me to grow on TikTok.
Okay. So for me, I would say TikTok was harder for me. The last time I was on TikTok, I had like 501 followers, but then some of those were like spam and these scam accounts.
Yeah.
And I think that's what was the challenging part for me when I was on TikTok. Before I got, shadow banned a bit on some of my content, but it was more so like some of these people were, like you said before, weren't completely legit. And
Hmm.
when it came to YouTube, I started to like build, come across people, whether I would go to people live streams on YouTube, because that's kind of helped me along the way, going to people live streams and networking with people, or just connecting with people on IG, which I still do. It's not as good as it used to be. It's kind of oversaturated with a lot of different kinds of creators, not just YouTubers, but TikTokers,
Yeah.
comedians, everything. But it seemed like YouTube was better for me. I started to get organic people. I've lost some people, by the way, too. I guess once I started to get a bigger subscriber base, but overall, it seemed like people were really pushing me. Like I would get retweets with my YouTube, people posting it, hey, go check his content out and stuff. Even with the community tab, which I love about YouTube, people can reshare. Like, say for instance, someone has your latest video, they can reshare it and let other people know about your channel as well. So,
Um,
I think YouTube probably was better for me. TikTok, I guess I had like a couple years. It was a phase. Then once I started to promote my own stuff, like I was pretty much the enemy to the app. It was just like, well, I'm just trying to promote my content. Y'all don't want to see me
yeah.
win.
Yeah. What I do. Yeah.
Right. Y'all making me the villain in this situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I think it all depends, you know what I'm saying? Because I know with your content was different from mine. I was just reposting, hey, I got a movie review coming out. Hey, I got this coming out. It's like, all right, but yeah, TikTok, I guess it's a little wishy-washy.
It is. It is. And every now and then, I'll go on there because I'll get DMs on Instagram and stuff of people being like, hey Kay, like I hope all is well. I'm not really on Instagram much, but I popped on here just to check in because you're not on TikTok. And so every now and then I'll go on TikTok and I'll
Okay.
go just like show love to some people's like pages and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or at least go and try and check some DMs here and there because sometimes there's been times where people are like, oh my gosh, they'll hit me up on Instagram like, did you see my DM on TikTok? And I'm like, No, but then because I haven't been on there, I go back on there and I literally have so many unopened like DMs,
DMs.
and I'm like, I missed it. I'm sorry. What'd you say? You know, like I'm still here. I'm alive and well, just very much busy, and just like I moved on from TikTok so long ago that like
Yeah.
it's not even a second thought to me anymore until people like bring it up, and I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't been on there for a while. Let me just pop on there and see like
Right.
what's going on or whatever. Go show some love to some people and peace out.
Okay.
I've said a couple times like I might go on there just to go live just for the sake of going live some point.
Right.
Um, but I'm not necessarily looking to like grow my TikTok anymore. Like those days are
Okay.
gone for me. Whoever show up, show up. Like I'm not about to trip over like trying to continue to grow that platform because I'm not really interested. But I will probably pop over there eventually and like go live again just for like a throwback Thursday with Kay kind of thing.
So every once in a blue moon, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
So, my next question is, what is your passion? Because I mean, you do the choreography, you do the vlogging,
Yeah.
YouTubing, like, and you got your own skincare products. Like, what was your first or second passion, if you don't mind me asking, or your top passions?
My number one love has always been and will always be dance. Like I've been
Okay,
a dancer since I was 3,
okay.
and wow, that's just still weird to think about like how long I've been dancing. But yeah, so my number one love has always been dance, and
Okay,
that's looked different for me over the years between you know, going to school or dancing growing up and performing and going to college for dance and for business and
okay.
choreographing and teaching dance and like after, you know, college and whatnot, um,
Hmm.
going through injuries and stuff. So like for me, dance today looks totally different than it did for me 10 years ago. But the beautiful thing about dance and artistry is that like there's so many different avenues that you can go down, whether it's, you know, directing or choreographing or just teaching or um
Yeah,
like there's just so many different lanes that you can take
yeah, with
it. So
dancing. Yeah.
there's seasons where I'm like, I want to perform, but then there's seasons where I'm like, I just want to focus on choreographing. Or I
Okay.
just want to be an artistic director right now. Like I have visions and I have a creative process. And so number one is always gonna be dance for me. Like I no matter how many other things I start or, you know, businesses and brands I start or whatever I do, like it
Okay.
always comes back down to like dance being my number one.
Okay.
Um and then after that, obviously, like I'm very much passionate about just like uplifting and motivating people, which is why my channel is what it is. Like some stuff is just funny, like lifestyle stuff, or like
Yeah.
just chill vlogs, day in the life type things. But I try and sneak in some like motivational chats and stuff like that. So it might not be a full video about that, but I try and
Okay.
like add that in because I do feel like part of my purpose on this earth is to try and uplift and inspire people.
Okay.
Um, not by doing anything in particular besides just being me, but if my personal journey and my personal story can help to uplift somebody, then I want to be able to do my part.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so I'm like just super like passionate about like helping people, really.
Okay.
Which
Okay.
kind of leads into like what my full-time job is because my brand, to be honest, is my full-time job. Like that's my number
Okay.
one baby. Katie Essentials is my number one when it comes to like working. But I do
Okay.
have like an actual 9 to 5, and
Right.
I manage at a hot yoga studio, and so super passionate about yoga as well. But also part of why I love my job is because I get to help people,
Right.
and so it just goes back to that whole like
Okay.
helping others kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, my first passion I would have to say is art. I mean, I paint and draw. I mean, I still do it from time to time, but more on the digital side now.
Yeah.
But yeah, art is it's been in my family for a while. Like a lot of my cousins, all of us have an artisticness about us, whether it's painting, drawing. My little cousin, I kind of taught her how to do drawing a little bit. She's kind of getting the hang of it now. Like I've seen some of her new artwork like a few days ago. in January, and I was like, dang, she's getting good with this art thing just by me just showing her like, hey, you can make the nose like this, you can make the eyes, the ears, and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of my cousins, like I said, we it's on my grandmother's side of the family, we all picked up on it. And the thing is, I just used it with YouTube. I said, you know what, I can do this with YouTube in a way where you can just throw the pictures in there, add the letterings and all that stuff. But I would say YouTube probably is like my new one because I enjoy making content on YouTube. It's
Yeah.
real fun. It's just recording,
Yeah.
figuring
I
out.
actually didn't even think about that, but yeah,
Yeah,
YouTube is one of them for sure. Yeah,
yeah,
I can relate to that.
yeah. So I was like, man, and like I said, I think the reason why I started my YouTube channel because I was like, man, I kind of grew out of like not to say I don't love it, but I still enjoy art, but just in different mediums, like whether it's music, painting, anime,
Yeah.
cartoons, and stuff. I was like, I want to do something where it's more like maybe on the digital side and me just trying it out and then eventually just like, yo, I love doing this. Like at first it was kind of like tedious. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. The quality ain't there, but you know
Yeah.
what? I pushed through and I said, I'm gonna make these videos. And over time, it just started to become something where I'm like, man, I enjoy doing this. And people
Yeah.
like, man, every time I see it, say, yeah, I mean, I'm here. Every now and then, I might have a hiatus or,
Do
different
you mind
things
me
going.
asking, and you might have said this already, but like
Mhm.
how long have you had your channel? Like when did you start your channel?
So originally, long story short, but no, I ain't gonna say long story short. Originally, my channel was gonna be something different. So I forgot to mention. I went through a phase of trying to figure out what my channel. So originally, I was gonna do like motivational quotes, and I kind of grew bored with it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was like, how is this gonna work? And then I thought about it. I was like, man, this is boring. You know what I'm saying? I had a realization in my head. It's like, I don't like doing this. So
Yeah.
it started, I want to say 2015, if not 16. That's when I started the channel, but
Wow.
that's originally what the idea was for it. And then eventually, I said, you know what? I seen this other content creator I watch, but I don't watch as much as I used to. They did like movie reviews, TV show reviews, and talk about other like Marvel and DC stuff. I was like, I might want to try this out.
Yeah.
So eventually, I just started to make videos pertaining to like maybe anime, what I'm saying, movies, TV shows, and then like different stuff. Like I eventually got into storytelling, with the story times and stuff like that. So just me kind of figuring out where I wanted to go because some of my subscribers, I'll be honest with you, Kay, they wanted me to only do story times. I'm like, nah, that's not me.
Yeah.
Not a whole like thing of story
Yeah.
time. Like I was like,
And that's
it
kind of
was
hard to navigate. That's hard to
yeah,
navigate. I've struggled with that over the years because I've noticed
yeah,
that like I've done so if you go like back quite a bit,
yeah,
you'll see that I've
uh-huh,
done some story times and it's like those videos got really, really good numbers.
yeah,
People love story times, but
yeah,
then part of me is like, I don't want to just sit on here and tell like I don't mind like when I was going live on TikTok, like I'll tell stories all the
oh
time, but
yeah,
I didn't want my YouTube channel to be like just story times. But
yeah,
people engage with that a lot. And
yeah,
so it's kind of like trying to find that balance of like I want
yeah,
to give people what they want, but I want to do something that I want to do too. And then that's
yeah,
kind of hard because it's not always the same thing,
right,
but I definitely can relate as far as like people wanting to just do story
yeah,
times. And it's like that's not
right.
me. And I'm gonna eventually run out of stories and stuff unless stuff keeps
That was my
happening.
that was my biggest fear. I was like, nah.
Yeah.
But my channel actually, I start to like take off like around 2017. Then 18, I got my first 100 subscribers in 2018, like the very beginning of the new year. 2017, I was like at 99. And then like when the pandemic came around, I was more at home. We were off from work.
Yeah.
And I just like I had at that time, like I say about maybe 300 or either 500 subscribers. And I eventually just had to figure out like, okay, People love the electronic reviews. People love some of the story times, but I just didn't want to put myself in a niche where I'm only doing one type of content because I feel like, and I'm not saying everybody before people speculate. Some people love doing one type of content. Me,
Yeah.
I'm pretty versatile and
Yeah.
I don't want to just be one dimensional about it. You know what I'm saying?
Can't be put in a box. Yeah.
Yeah, I ain't want to just be like, oh, he's just known for story time. Oh, he's just known for electronic. Like, nah.
Yeah. And
And I
that
know
really
it's
does, like, really truly limits your creativity. Like,
yeah,
if you only do one type of video, that's why honestly, my thing on YouTube, I've never like just done one type of thing. So it's been harder because I didn't like niche
yeah,
down.
yeah,
But at least I had the freedom to post whatever I wanted to post, you know.
right.
But when you do put yourself in a box and you're like a story time channel, then you're like, I want to talk about something else. I want to do something else. And I feel like it's not going to be received well because
Right.
everybody only wants me to do this one thing. So then it kind of stunts your creativity a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with you. You know, one thing I like about your vlogs, I know you do the cleaning vlogs, and I gotta say props to you for that. Because honestly, there are some people I've seen their channel, and you hear like a little mouse
Oh,
when they doing it, and I'm like, no, Kate, just throw some music on while she just
yeah.
doing her thing with the cleaning
Yeah.
and putting stuff together. I'm like, this is cool because you know, it's a little annoying when I see people do that. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, come on.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's just
Honestly, I appreciate that feedback for real because when I first started doing those type of videos and I was like just like a clean with me or whatever,
yeah.
um I was like, I don't know if anybody will even like care to see this, but surprisingly, like
Uh-huh.
I've gotten quite a bit of feedback of people that's like, "Oh my gosh, like I don't know why I enjoy watching your cleaning videos so much, but I do." And I didn't even know that that was something that people would really, like, thoroughly enjoy,
Yeah,
and so
that's
it's
yeah.
it helps to, like, get that feedback, but then some people are like, "Oh my gosh, like, this was my sign, I need to get up and clean," or, "This was my motivation, I need to get up and just, like, clean my space so that I can, like, clear my mind," and
Right.
so I do appreciate all that feedback, but yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you don't
just
do that.
trying to
I was like,
find a lane as far as, like, how to include that into my videos without it being like, I don't want it to seem, like, annoying, but I do know exactly what you're talking about,
yeah,
though,
I was like, you
'cause
got a
I
little
be feeling the
mouse
same
voice.
way.
Yeah, because I've seen some people, I'm like, I know they could have found some other type of way to kind of make it interesting. And you're like,
Yeah.
uh. So my next question for you, and this is something, it's a little random, it's not nothing super crazy. What is a talent or skill that you have that we may not know about, essentially, Kay?
A talent or skill?
Yeah.
Ooh. I'm really good with numbers.
Okay.
Like,
Math-
so part of my role in my full-time job, in
Mhm.
managing at the hot yoga studio is obviously I'm running like a multi-million dollar company. So it's not my company, but I'm managing it. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of that I have to crunch numbers like on a daily basis, like hitting our
Right.
revenue quota or hitting our goal and just like breaking it down to like what needs to be done on a daily basis in a numbers perspective and percentages to quota.
Right.
Um, and
Mhm.
so something that I've even surprised myself with is being able to think like on the spot and understand like percentage breakdowns or if they say, oh, I need, you know, my revenue quota is 70,000 for the month, right? And
Right.
I'm like, okay, I want to hit 115% of that. What is 115% of 70,000? I'm like
Yes. Hold on a sec. Hold
80,500.
on a sec. Yeah, what's going on?
Hey, how's it
Okay,
going?
I'm back.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I was actually
So
reading. I didn't realize there were a couple other comments. Somebody said,
yeah,
"How's it going?"
I can't see them. Yeah, I can't see. I tried
Dang.
scrolling up. It's just not working.
But yeah, so basically what I was just saying was that like I'm good with numbers. Like
Yeah,
I can think and calculate easily, like pretty quickly on the spot of like
correct.
some pretty complicated numbers. And I don't even know why or how I'm good at that kind of stuff, but like it just works. It might just be
Dang.
pure luck, to be honest, but that's something that's like random. Like my like manager that works with me, she's like, "You're literally like my human calculator. Like we don't ever have to plug anything in because like you just know it off the top of your head." And I don't know why. Like I've never been like overly obsessed with math or anything like that.
What?
But now that I'm older
Wow.
and having this job, I'm like, I enjoy the numbers part of it. Like I do. But
Dang.
yeah,
That's dope.
that is
So
a random skill though.
okay, let me ask you this. So you never took like trigonometry or like calculus and that
I
all that?
did take calculus. I hated it though. Like I didn't enjoy it. Um, so
What?
I took calculus, I took finite. I hated finite. I took trig. Obviously, I took algebra and
Right.
but like yeah, I was never a fan of it for real. Like I was decent. I still got good grades and whatnot, except for
Okay.
finite. I was not a fan. I think I passed with a C in finite when I was in college, and I was like, I'll take it because that was the most stressful math class I had ever been in my entire life.
So I
Um,
see we got something in common. The math, yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I don't really care for math.
well, I never really cared for it, but like I was naturally good at it, you know.
That's crazy.
So
I'm,
it
I'm the
wasn't like
opposite. I'm
yeah,
the opposite. Like there's certain parts of math where I'm like cool, but then when it gets to certain parts, I'm like, nah, this is. And I heard the new math is a lot harder than
that's what
the
I heard.
math that we grew
And
up on.
I think I looked at one of my nieces, or maybe I don't know whose work I was looking at one time. It wasn't my
Mhm.
youngest niece. I was looking at
Okay.
somebody's like homework, and I was like, "What is this? Like, what are they teaching y'all, and why are they teaching
Yeah,
y'all like this?"
yeah. It's a different math ball game now.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that at all. Like, I could never grow up in this generation, like having to
Po-
learn this way, cause no.
yeah, pokies.
Yeah, I'm like, what does this mean? Why is it so complicated? And why are they teaching at such a young age? Why is y'all's math this complicated? Like, that's what's
Yes.
wild to me.
Yeah, that is wow. Wow, man. That's crazy. Wow. So have you ever played what is that, Sudoku? Like it's a math game with okay.
Years ago, like years and years and years ago, I was
Years ago?
probably, yeah, I was probably a teenager at the time, but
Yes.
I was okay at it. But I also, me not being like a lover of math, I was like, okay, this is stupid. This is boring. Like, I don't want to play this. Like, this is not fun for me. But I did try
Yeah,
it a little bit, and I just was like, okay, I'm not,
yeah,
I'm not having
that's
fun.
not it. I think my talent, I can like whistle like different like if you have a song and I can like remember certain stuff.
That's the one thing that I cannot do. Well, I learned how to whistle a little bit last year, but then
Oh, okay.
only on that one day, and now I don't know how to do it anymore. So I
Ah,
have to really, really, really try in order for it to work. And
okay.
it's never on command type thing. I can't just whistle if you tell me to whistle. Like I have to really work on it.
Ah, man, guess it's more of a mind over matter thing, huh?
Mhm. Yeah. And my niece knows that I can't whistle, so she likes to like tease me about it, and she'll
Tease
just
you.
like start whistling and be like, "Ia," because that's what she calls me. She's like, "Ia, do this," and she'll start whistling. And I'm like, "You know I can't whistle, so leave me alone." So,
Yeah, that's dope, man. Wow, I didn't know that. That's crazy. Yeah, yeah, what's I don't know, just it's natural.
that's what everybody say, but it ain't so
It's,
natural for some of us.
it's just like with painting and drawing. Once you kind of like get into the hang of it, no.
No, it is not like
So,
painting and drawing at all.
so my next question, this is interesting too, because I know you talk about a lot of the motivational stuff. What are some of your top favorite motivational movies, like biopics? Like if you had
Mm.
like top 5 or top 10.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Ah, man.
That's a tough one because I don't think I've ever thought about it to have like a top 10 or top 5.
Yeah.
Um, a motivational my number 1, I feel like would be Pursuit of Happiness.
That's a good choice. I like it. I gotta say that's a good one.
I think I feel like for so many reasons that one would be my number 1 because
Okay.
the lesson of like perseverance and just like
Yeah.
believing in something enough to know that eventually it's gotta work, like
Work. Right.
it
Yeah.
has to work. And I 100% can like relate to that, but then also just seeing the relationship between like a parent and a child
Child. Right.
when when they're going through, and how the child is very kind of oblivious to like what the reality is, because
Yeah.
you want to shelter the kid as much like from that as possible.
Right.
And my parents were divorced when I was like 3, and so my mom was a single mom for a while. She remarried, which you guys have seen in
Right.
my videos and stuff. I have my stepdad, my pops, but
Right.
my mom was a single mother, and she was also like our situation was never as bad as like theirs was in the movie.
Right.
Um, but just that unconditional love of I'm gonna go so hard every single day for my child, and I witnessed that myself. And so between that and then the perseverance of just knowing that like I 100% believe in what I'm doing and I know that it has to work, like I will
Okay.
give my absolute all, like to know that this what I'm feeling right now is temporary. Kind of going back to what I said earlier about like people starting in like entrepreneurship and understanding
Yeah.
like hard times are only temporary, even when it feels like a very long time that you're going through.
Yeah.
Because that journey in that movie, that was not a short period of time. They were
No.
struggling for a
Yeah, they
long
were
time.
struggling for a while. That's a good Will Smith choice. I thought, you know what I thought you was gonna do, to say the Venus and Serena biopic. Was it King Richard?
King Richard, I didn't see that one.
What? Not
I
yet. Oh,
never saw it, and
you gotta see it.
I kept saying, "I need to see this movie. I need to
Y-
see this movie." But I
Yeah.
think around the time that it like came out, I was so busy,
Okay.
and I
I
just
give you that.
never
I give you that.
I
Okay.
never made it into movie theaters, and it's probably streaming now.
Yeah, it's
Um,
streaming. Yep, it's streaming.
I
You
just need to
right.
figure out what it's streaming on. But then it's like out of sight, out of mind. Like I kind of forgot it even happened. But I
Yeah, that
did
was a
hear
good one.
about it. I did
Yeah,
hear
it's
about it. But I don't have a top like 5 or a top 10, but I definitely
okay.
say like Pursuit of Happiness is one that I feel like would be my number 1 out of everything, just because it has so many different levels of um like things to learn from it, like just determination and
Yeah,
perseverance and
right.
love, just like unconditional love, and just like how you deal with and how you react to life circumstances and stuff like that. So that was a
Yeah,
good question.
that's
I ain't never thought about that. I ain't never thought about that.
Hey, I was like, man, I thought for sure you were gonna like say King. I was like, man, but Pursuit of Happiness is definitely a good choice. That is definitely one of my favorite Will Smith movies when it comes to based on true stories. That one, the King Richard. There's another one that's out, but you know how it is. I think Apple owns it. They don't. Apple doesn't release their movies on DVD, so only way I'll see it if I get an Apple subscription. I know they're trying to kill us with subscriptions.
That's
Like, hey, we got on this platform. Come check it
crazy.
out. But yeah, wow. That's interesting. I thought for sure I said, man, I know she's seen the King Richard.
I
Yeah,
have not.
it was
I have not.
the King Richard is good because you see the reality they were in. Their father was so determined to get them into the tennis industry, or not the sports industry, and the
Mhm.
things they went through because they were
Yeah,
black young girls that were playing tennis, and
yeah,
and just the rejection that the father faced. You know what I'm saying? This man was a security guard, and he trying to, get his daughters into being in tennis. Then on
Yeah.
top of that, he had other kids, but also him being, cheating on the wife and stuff because he had some side kids, by the way. But it did show you through all that stuff he went through, he was able to help his daughters. You know what I'm saying? There were some sister competition between the two sisters, Venus and Serena.
Right.
And sometimes you see that with families, like if you have siblings, you can see that there were, they were very competitive with one another, but also how the other white tennis players treated them differently. And to some degree, that kind of shaped them as well. But yeah, it is definitely a motivational movie. And I love that
Yeah.
the father, he looked at a lot of the Disney movies as inspirations for his daughters to get out there and do this thing. Yeah, you can be a girl, play tennis, but also them living in LA in areas where it was gang affiliated too, to some degree, and
Yeah.
how certain things took place, and also just how the tennis industry hides certain things too. So yeah, it
Yeah.
was definitely something that surprised. I knew Will Smith was gonna kill the role, and I remember at the end of the movie, Will Smith had the father's mannerisms down pat, like how he would act and how he would talk, and I said,
Yeah.
Will got
He's a
it.
great method actor. Like he's
Yeah,
really good. And honestly, like he's gone through a lot over the past few years, especially. But
right.
when it comes down to him doing
Yeah,
like biopics and stuff, like
yeah,
you can tell that he truly studies. Like
yeah,
he
yeah,
really studies and he like dives
yeah.
into whatever
To the
the role is.
character.
Because even
Yeah,
when I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, so home of
right.
Muhammad Ali. But even when he was filming and like did the
Yeah,
Muhammad Ali
yeah,
movie,
yeah.
you could not tell me he was not Muhammad Ali. Like he had him down. Like
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
he
Will.
had him down to a T.
Right.
And that I remember that movie alone was like a huge thing for the city because they filmed certain parts of that movie back home. Um and so but I noticed then that when it came to Will Smith like actually playing a role where he was like playing a real person, he
Yeah.
really like he took you could tell that it wasn't like he was just going to be reading a script. He was like, "No, I need to
Right.
get their mannerisms down. I need to hear the
Right.
inflection in their voices. Like I need to get their facial expressions down." Like he really truly studies people.
Yeah, he really does. I think that's what made the movie believable. And
Yeah.
just him getting into the character, mannerisms, the clothing. I said, boy, them costume designers, they
Yeah.
really found how he was wearing the stuff back then. I said, wow. Yeah, but you gotta see King Richard. Dang, I thought
I
for sure
think
I
that
said
I would definitely look it up because I just forgot it happened. Like I really did. And when it came out, I was so busy. I was like, it was not even on my mind for real. And then I totally forgot that it ever happened.
okay. Yeah, so I was like, man, but yeah, that's good though. Yeah, Pursuit of Happiness. Yeah, I ain't seen that about 5, 6 times. I want to say seven.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good
That's a
motivational.
classic for me. Like and it can still make me cry today like it did the first time I saw it. Like it hits every single time.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Um, so my next question for you, and this is something that is still kind of new. So I mean, if you don't have an answer, I understand. How do you feel about YouTube having this paywall? Oh, this paywall up for pretty much the subscribers and stuff. Like you know how they have the.
I don't know if it happened on your end or not, but the camera like or the video like cut out for a second, so I missed the beginning of what you were saying.
Oh, okay. So pretty much, I was asking about like literally with the YouTube, they have the members only with the paywall. Like, how do you feel about YouTube having that paywall up for like subscribers only, like members only of the channel and stuff?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I haven't really looked into it too much, but I have seen it on there. Like a
Yeah,
couple people that I'm subscribed to, I see that they have like members only videos or whatever like that. I don't feel any particular way about it. It kind of gives me the same vibe as like on Instagram when you have um what is it called? I think it might just be called like
or just like subscribers on Instagram,
Yeah.
where you get like certain special content or whatever the case may be. I don't have a problem with it. It's just kind of weird when those are already content creators that are already making money on YouTube. So
Yeah.
when you have that other level of it, if they're mostly putting out content that's only for those members, then I'm like, well, a majority of your following are not the actual members, so like you're really not giving them any content to like continue to support you. So
Right.
if it was me personally and I did have my channel set up that way and I was posting, it would literally probably be like maybe one video a month was for members only. It wouldn't be like the majority. I would want the majority of my content to be like free for people to watch and support and engage and stuff like that. But I haven't really thought about it too much. But I do think that it's kind of weird when I see content creators who almost only post on like their members only videos and they don't really post anything else. And the other people who don't, aren't members on their channel, they're not the ones
Right.
who the ones who aren't members on their channel are the ones who grew their channel to where it is. So like, don't forget where you started, basically.
True. Yeah, I think it's pros and cons with it. Like, it's helpful to some degree,
Yeah.
but then the problem is, like, if, like you said before, if you're only just putting out subscriber only, well, members only content, then it's not really helping the channel because maybe people don't want to invest three, five, $6, however much you're wanting to for them to be a member. And like you said before, if everyone's not a part of it, then it kind of defeats the purpose to some degree because you have to remember, like you said, where you started from when it comes down to your channel. So yeah.
I agree.
So my last question for you, do you have any advice for any YouTubers that are coming up that or tips?
Um, just post. Honestly, yeah, just
Just do it,
post
post.
yeah, because you can waste so much time just like thinking about what it'll look like or how you want it to look, and then you never get started. And so, like you never know like how you will never grow that way. You just gotta start learning and seeing what works for you, like posting and then being like, okay, that was kind of cringe, or I don't really like that. I don't like how that turned out. So let me maybe try something else and like figure it out that way. But if you never post, you'll never know what you like and what you don't like. So my number one tip is just like be yourself on and off the camera and
Hmm.
just post what you truly want to post. Don't post anything because people tell you to, you know.
Okay, that's good advice.
It might
Yeah, that's
take
good advice. 'Cause I think,
longer. It might take longer to get to your goal, but at least you'll know that you were authentically you the whole
yeah,
time.
come from the heart. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think you're right because some people they get this idea like they're gonna completely have 100% like, oh, I'm gonna know everything about YouTube and
Yeah.
putting out content, and they get this false perception of like where they should go with their content. They're so focused on what if this goes wrong, this goes right, and it's like, well, you can work on that as you go along your journey, but some people just don't have that ambition or just the ideas of doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I 100 am always going to be an advocate for just posting what you want to post and just like not really caring like you have to care enough to do it, but like not caring so much to where it like hinders you from continuing
Yeah,
to
it
do it.
drains you. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't it should be fun, it shouldn't be stressful, and it shouldn't have to be draining, so yeah.
Yeah.
You want to say hi to the vlog?
Hey.
Hold on, it's like
Okay.
there we go, y'all. If y'all want to see this whole like
Yeah.
collab and conversation slash little mini interview, make sure you go check out El Blurmatic on YouTube. I'll make sure this video is linked in the description down
Okay.
below. Yeah, had to
Yeah.
get a little clip.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. I don't mind it.
Because everything's content. Like,
I know, right?
just like I tell my mama.
you know, one thing I forgot to mention, like you find the perfect ways to do shopping vlogs. Like you really
Thank you. That means I'm in the stores too much.
I was like, man, she be find a certain way to I get the camera here.
Yeah, I'm trying to like be more comfortable, especially like I don't really care if I'm vlogging in like public or whatever, but
Yeah.
in the area that I live in the area that I live in now, it's not like everybody's out vlogging. Like it still looks very like, what is she doing? Why does she have this camera? Or why is she filming herself? Um, Now when I'm in other places, like when I go out of town or when I was in Atlanta or living in California, everybody out there is like content creators. So you see people all day long on the streets with cameras and they're walking and like it's
Wow, in
very
Atlanta?
in Atlanta too. It's a lot of content creators in Atlanta. Yeah.
That's how it is in the city over because I don't live in the same city I used to live in. But the new city I live in, there's another city like maybe three cities away. And when you go to the mall, there's nothing but content creators. Real talk.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get more comfortable about like being able to get cool shots and angles and stuff in stores, especially in public, just because like some people will look at you like you're crazy, just because they're like, what is she doing, or what, why is she filming herself, and why is she talking to herself? Because a lot of times when I'm vlogging, I'm by myself, and so it can look kind of like crazy. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I don't care. It's my content. Like, either y'all can come and subscribe, or y'all can continue to shop. Like, what do you want to do? So yeah, I think it's fun now. Just trying to like get different angles because again, it would be easier if I had like a cameraman or a camera person. But when I don't, you gotta get creative, and sometimes you
Yeah,
gotta
you gotta get creative
on the
with it.
shelf and just like continue shopping or whatever the case may be. So
Oh yeah,
it's fun.
definitely,
I
no
like to
doubt.
have fun with it as much as I can.
Yeah, that's dope though.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. So, you know what? I want to say huge thanks for you for wanting to do the collab. I truly appreciate it at Essentially K.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
And
this was fun.
for timing, because dance competition season for me starts next weekend, so I'm like crazy busy. For
Okay.
literally the whole first half of the year is about to be crazy busy. But I'm glad that we was able to get it in before that time frame starts. So thank you for
Okay.
having me. Shout out to all your supporters and everybody that's been in the comments as well. Like
Yeah,
I
Aries,
appreciate it.
Cajun, Synthesizer, Sparko Bomb. Yeah. So, I'm gonna post your channel link at the live so they'll check your stuff out as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, and once I'll probably post on YouTube this week, this particular vlog, but I gotta like vlog for the rest of the day. But I'm gonna go back and put the link for this video in that description box as well once I finish
Okay.
vlogging and get that uploaded as well.
Okay. Yep. So this is it, y'all. This is episode 6 of the Content Creator Speak with Essentially K. I hope you guys enjoyed and Essentially K, you got anything else you want to say?
Peace and positivity, kings and queens.
All right, peace and positivity. All right, take care.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yep, have a good weekend.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.